Hello and welcome back. Thanks for joining me for another weekly update on all of my worm composting systems. Starting off with the regular tote bins, I manage two totes and I'm currently going through a cycle where one, I'm doing my normal composting with the shredded cardboard and starting with some cocoa coir. And my second one I am doing as a trash can style. And I put that in air quotes because I'm not just throwing large particles of stuff, I'm just throwing unshredded cardboard pieces into it and larger food pieces into it to see how it runs versus my regular tote. Since they were just recently restarted, there isn't much that I'm doing with the regular totes for the first couple of weeks besides trying to make sure that I get that moisture level correct. As we're going into the summer, my regular totes tend to hold a lot more moisture in them than my other systems. So what I work with on these is trying to make sure they don't become muddy and silty. When I look at the castings, they are starting to become a little bit wetter, even though I'm not adding any additional water to the first bin. To the second bin, because I am adding the larger shredded or unshredded cardboard, I do dampen the cardboard prior to putting it in the bin. So I expect this one to be a little bit wetter than the other one. And it's very hard for me to resist the temptation to fluff the material in this bin, but I am also trying not to fluff the material at all in this bin. Really just trying to make it so that the bin is not messed with that much. I do have some concerns with how quickly the material is going to build up in this bin, so I might have to do a fluff once a month, but we'll see how that goes. But so far, these two bins after the harvest restart have been working out really well. That brings me to my first Vermi bag tote. Now, the Vermi bag totes have the opposite issue as the regular totes, as they stay drier than my other totes. So this one was restarted right along with the regular tote bins. And the material in this one, although it's drier, still has a lot of happy worms all throughout it. So with this Vermi bag, I do add a lot of moisture to it with my sprayer, as well as trying to make sure I select the foods that are going to release moisture into the castings. I'm not adding any material to any of these bins this week so that I can just control what's happening. But I'll probably add some moistened cardboard to this bin the next time I add any to it. But this one is set up for the next week as well. And that brings me to my final tote style bin, which is the bin that I was using from the breeder bin. I was trying to increase the colony without just having the worms themselves reproducing in the bin. I had started a breeder bin. I stopped the breeder bin experiment because I didn't have enough worms. I don't believe I had enough material to really make a dent. And now I'm just trying to sift out all of the worms, or really bait out all of the juvenile worms from inside of the castings without causing another colony collapse. So I'm doing what I call a hybrid bait situation. This week, the worms did not go and demolish the food, and it could have been because they were whole head or whole Brussels sprouts that I had put in there. And beware of anything that's like cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. If you put that in your bin, they're going to smell and it's going to have a strong odor to them. So this week, the food that I removed was kind of stinky. I am going to be swapping this out of the worms and material out of this bin that they're in right now, because I think I mentioned it, but I did find another Vermi bag tote extra that I have, so they will not be staying in here because it's running out of room. But the worms look happy for this week in this bin, so I just left them alone until I can clean the other one. And then for this one, I didn't see a lot of worms in the upper level, so I'm trying to dig this one in a little bit deeper to get down to the lower levels where it is a bit it's more wet towards the bottom and the worms tend to be there, just to make sure that I get all of the worms out. And I'm moving the bait tray around in the castings so that I'm not missing any areas. I don't want to leave it in one spot so that the worms maybe on the far end are not coming to the other end where the food is. So this is the next place that I'm going to put the bait tray. And as I've said before, I do intend to leave this in here for a period of time doing this bait tray process with this one, because I just don't want to leave behind any worms that are in here, because once these castings are done, they're going right outside into my garden bed, and I don't want to put a ton of worms back outside instead of having the worms inside composting for me. So that's the work that I'm doing on my 4 regular totes. They're all set up for the next week, and I gave that one a very good feeding. My last and final bin is my Vermi Bag Mini. I do enjoy having a flow through system because it handles so much food. But my challenges with the flow through system are that the edges are dry. And you can see how the middle part is darker in color than the outside edges that I'm bringing in. So each week I try to pull the edges in so that they can get moistened and not stay dry along the edges. I still haven't found that sweet spot with this. My recent harvest, I did have a lot of dry material. It was so weird. Dry material as well as some really wet clumps mixed in with each other. So I'm trying to figure out how to best handle the Vermi Bag Mini, but I'm giving it a very large feeding. Since it was just harvested, I want to make sure those worms come from the bottom since the level was dropped and stay towards the top and break down the material. I'm also going to give it a layer of cardboard, which I didn't shred, but I'm going to give it a layer of cardboard. And then this bin is also set up for the week. So that's a really quick update of everything that is happening. If you have stuck with me to the end of this video, I do appreciate it. Thank you so much. And if you enjoyed the content, please like and subscribe. And as always, thank you so much for watching.